All right, so Alabama just won against Missouri 38-19, and this was a very interesting game. Um, Really, Alabama dominated in the first half. It was 28-3. We were moving the ball effectively in the run game. Jalen Waddle showed why he's one of the best receivers in the country. Was making crazy acrobatic catches. His run after the catch and what he does after the catch was just absolutely stunning. Devontae Smith had a pretty decent game, had 89 yards, but he was very effective in the receiving and the run blocking game. The offensive line was great in the first half. We didn't allow a sack in the first half. Offensive line was great. Everything was going right. We were moving people up and down the football field in the running game. Pass blocking department was really good. Mac Jones looked absolutely stunning. Like I said again, guys, Mac Jones was absolutely phenomenal. He was 18 for 24 for around 250 or 60 yards, but he had some touchdowns here, no interceptions. Pretty much, he had some missed opportunities from the receivers. Right, there were some drops here and there, some missed opportunities. But Mac Jones had a really good day. Defensively, we looked more aggressive. We were in position a lot to make the tackle. So as far as our playmaking ability on the defensive side of the ball, it was really there for us. I would say Will Anderson and Chris Allen had a really good game coming off the edge. Will Anderson was the most effective pass rusher as a true freshman. Very quick, explosive type of player, especially on the outside. That was really great. We saw the speed from Christian Harris and Dylan Moses in tonight's game. The speed was really good. Was really good for those players, and they made some effective plays using their speed and their IQ. Christian Harris, I see the improvement from last year this year. Again, Christian Harris was one of my favorite players from last year because he was a true freshman that never played the linebacker position, and you saw every game that he got better. He got better today. But there were some things defensively there was a lot of things defensively that needed to be cleaned up, especially in the second half. That's where I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. But yeah, defensively in the first half, we were pretty good in the first half. The secondary wise, as far as down the field throws or those really short intermediate throws, we weren't really good against short intermediate throws. They ran a lot of misdirection, and really tried to confuse the Alabama defense, kind of what Auburn does a little bit there with Gus Malzahn. Really a lot of short passes, some scat routes here. Again, just try to throw the Alabama defense off, and we were in position a lot of the times. Like we were in position a lot of the times. We just didn't do a good job in open space tackling. I'm sorry, open field tackling. We didn't do a good job in open field tackling. Right, our tackle forms really weren't there. We were pretty much arm tackling there. So we need to get better at that. That was really pretty much the only thing that it seemed at first that it seems like that was the only thing that we needed to work on. But then the second half came after we were up 23. We had a great drive with Mac Jones and coming out the third quarter and 35-3. And then all of a sudden, you kind of see the mistakes. You kind of see where Alabama is weak, where they're vulnerable, and what can we do to try to fix that? Number one was that, again, on a lot of those misdirection plays, we were thrown off a lot. We were pretty much thrown off. We were out of position. For some reason, this has pretty much been a big issue since last year. Whenever a running back runs a wheel route, we can't keep up with it. Right? Whether if we have a speedy linebacker or whether if we have a safety over the top that's trying to help on it, we can't defend the wheel route. I don't know what it is about it. We can't defend against the wheel route. Missouri ran it like 3-4 times this game, and literally almost every single time, the running back was wide open. One of those times, it actually went for a touchdown because we had a true freshman, Drew Sanders, who it looked like his responsibility was to try to bump that running back, or at least that was his man, try to help the safety over it. And it was some miscommunication there. And then the running back was wide open, and he ran for the first touchdown for Missouri. So we need to fix that. We need to clean up those plays. Again, open field tackling. When we had the backups in, it wasn't good. It wasn't really good at all. The third thing is that once Will Anderson really left the game, and once Will Anderson and Chris Allen weren't in the game anymore, we couldn't rush the passer anymore. It's like whenever we try to have some type of pressure, that's when we started to send, that's when we started to have more extra men in the box. We started to send a little bit more pressure. But if we just sent, if we just ran a four-man front and try to get after the quarterback, we weren't successful. we were barely getting any pass rush at all on the quarterback. We had some in the interior. I got to give credit for that, right? Justin Abobi was getting some pressure there. Byron Young, he was in the game late, but he was starting to get a little bit of pressure there. But on the outside, none, none at all. So, that was one of the things that really killed Alabama last year. It was really the lack of depth on the defensive side of the ball, and that's one of the things that I thought we were going to get better at this year, especially in that pass rush department. Can we rush the passer? Do we have more people? Right? Can we rotate like we used to rotate? We used to run 3-4 guys easily at that edge rushing position to try to get after the quarterback, and that just seems to not be the case. Now, it is game one, and there was no spring ball. You couldn't really work with the players in June. I mean, you really had that late July to August period, and that was it. You had no game film on Missouri. They have a completely different offense. So I understand all that, but in a short game stretch where you have 9 more games left, you got to get it together. I mean, at some point, we got to get it together, especially with this 9-game stretch, because next up is A&M. And then we have A&M, and then we have Kentucky, and then we have Georgia. Right? You got Georgia, you got Ole Miss, you got Tennessee, you got LSU, Mississippi State, and you saw what Mississippi State did to LSU. So it's not going to get easier for here. We got to get our stuff together, and we got to do it really fast, right? The next week we're just not going against an FCS opponent like we normally do every single year. No, it's a gauntlet right after this. So we got to get better, especially in the passing game, especially trying to work with those misdirection routes. We gotta have more communication. I felt like the communication was off in the second half. And again, it's not like our entire team in the second half was full of backups. No, we had a lot of starters still in the second half when Missouri started to get it going offensively. So we got to get our stuff together. I don't know where that drop-off came with our starters in the second half, but we got to fix that immediately. The running game in the second half was awful. And Evan Neal, he got hurt, but he came back in. I know Leatherwood was in for some of those drives in the third quarter. Dickerson was there. Ekior was there. Deontay Brown was there. We got to get our stuff together in the second half in the run department, because as soon as Najee was benched and Trey Sanders and Brian Robinson was on the field, we just couldn't run the ball for crap. We couldn't run the ball for we couldn't run the ball for our lives even depended on it. So we got to get better at that. I don't know if that's a depth issue. Missouri did have their starters in, so maybe that's the case. But we got to get better in the second half in the run department. I know a lot of people are going to ask me about Bryce Young's debut. What I thought about it. I thought Bryce Young had a decent debut, right? He had a turnover. He had a forced fumble. It was, pretty much it was a stunt by one of the Missouri defensive linemen to the inside. Dickerson never caught it, and it was a sack there. But I felt like Bryce Young had a decent game. He had a missed touchdown, which is going to haunt him. Honestly, I think that's going to be something that he's going to replay in the back of his mind. But we saw why Bryce Young was recruited and why he was a 5-star. I mean, that dude's arm, the accuracy, the zip that he had, and a lot of his touches, it's Tua-esque. And right, his talent was definitely displayed. You saw the mobility, what he can do in the pocket, what he can do if he's trapped inside of the pocket. He can escape and bring certain elements that Mac Jones really can't do as a pocket passer. So Bryce Young, I felt like had a decent debut. I know a lot of people are going like, "Oh, what's going on? I thought Bryce Young was a 5-star." This is Bryce Young's first game as a true freshman with no spring ball at all, limited amount of time at Alabama. We got to give this kid a break. I think he's a talented young man. Listen, he's not going to be the starter now. This is the future. Bryce Young is the future of this program, so I'm not worried about Bryce Young at all. If anything, I made my prediction that Mac Jones was going to be the starter, because just looking at Mac Jones the first 5 games from last year, you saw the development and you saw the confidence in just how the team really had his back. You saw how Mac Jones just got better and better and better and better. And I doubted that Mac Jones was going to suffer that decline going into this season. So Mac Jones proving the doubters wrong, that he can ball with anybody in the country. And I'm confident going forward about our quarterback situation. Again, we could have easily put up 50 points on Missouri. We took Mac Jones out. We put Bryce Young in to get him that valuable experience. And I think that Bryce Young can definitely learn from what he did wrong. I definitely felt like a lot of our backup players that play in this game can definitely learn, because trust me, they're going to need to learn, because there was a lot of mistakes going into the second half. We only scored 1 touchdown in the second half, and that was when Mac Jones was in. So we need to do better. defensively, we got to get better at open space tackling, open field tackling. We got to get better. I don't know what went wrong there, but we have to get. I can't really stress that crap enough. I can't stress that enough, guys. We got to get better at it because that was an issue last year, and a lot of people said the same thing from after the Duke game was, oh, don't worry, it's game one, and then it became an ongoing issue. So with limited amount of time, we got to get our stuff together, especially going against a more talented team than Missouri and Texas A&M next week. So on to A&M. A lot of credit on to A&M, and I can't wait for it. A lot of credit has to go out to Missouri because these guys were laying the wood on us. These guys were effective in the passing game. They never gave up. And I feel like Missouri can definitely – they're not going to be a contender, but Missouri can give a lot of teams problems. You saw what Arkansas was doing to Georgia in the first half. I think Missouri can be that type of team where they can give a lot of team fits and issues. So congratulations to Missouri for having just a hard-fought game against us. But anyway, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Bama fans, let me know how you guys feel about it in the comment section. Missouri fans, if you feel free to comment as well. And I am out. So anyway, Jan716, a.k.a. Jan Sports. I'm out. Peace.